Up for discussion today, we have the short story Love by Clarice Lispector, and sometimes I guess it's not translated. I don't know how to pronounce it in Portuguese. I'm assuming Amor, but I don't know.
That's what I'm going to do the whole time. You think you can do it by yourself? Just me smacking my gum in the background here?
I see what you did there. The blind man leads.
Yeah.
The blind man leads us.
Did I not read the right story?
Yeah, you did. You did.
Oh,
Just caught me off guard there. So let's talk about Miss.
I broke your routine.
You did. There's the central theme. I do want to talk about a couple things here, just because I would say Clarice allows me to see things in my own and my wife's life as well. And what's funny is I even read a quote. I'll read it to you here too. That my wife was like, I don't get it like that. And I was just like, that explains you, honey. I don't know. There's probably some male author out there that perfectly explains me. And I'm like, I don't get that. Like, but my wife would be like, no, that's you, honey.
Love is blind, right?
All right. So it's a story about Anna. I'm going to say Anna. I don't know how it's pronounced, but she returns with like these groceries, is living a struggling life, paying debts bit by bit. And I like this quote. It says, Anna gave to everything tranquilly her small, strong hand, her stream of life. Right? Like, just only Lispector would just, in the middle of a sentence, like, of just so logical and factual. Of like, Anna gave to everything tranquilly her small, strong hand, her stream of life. Like I just get this image of like the hands and how powerful they are to I don't know, to change your life and to impact things around you. It's just like that imagery that just explodes from her writing, if you will.
Yes, I really like how that imagery takes it from something so simple to something so grand so quickly, because I felt like Anna herself is portrayed kind of frail, and by the end you see that fragility kind of cracking, that facade that she puts on for her family, I feel like is breaking. There's a piece of her wanting to get out, and Lispector just does such a wonderful job of giving us a piece of, I think, what Anna is going to evolve into.
I find it really interesting that you just said that you thought Anna was maybe a little bit fragile. I had the opposite take. I actually viewed her as quite strong. I'm kind of curious what led us down this different view of her, because my view of her, like, I'll read you the quote that I told my wife, because I was like, oh, honey, this is great. This is hilarious. And she's like, I don't get it. But the quote, her taste for the decorative had developed and supplanted her inner disorder. She seemed to have discovered that everything could be perfected. To each thing she could lend a harmonious appearance. Life could be wrought by the hand of man. I just think that's hilarious, right? Like how often we think we can have these projects or think we can fix everything, but at the same time, that attempt to improve and change things gives us purpose, it gives us a drive, and it gives us meaning. If we made a meaningful impact to improve something, we feel better about ourselves much of the time. And it's by our hands, by our doing, by the sweat of our brow. That's kind of where I took Anna, is that she was constantly doing what she could to improve her home life. And it's not easy, I don't think. It's not easy to do that, even to keep your own life into check.
I think it comes down to a lot of perspective here. I think that you're 100% correct. You can look at it that she is a strong woman, and this one instance of something odd breaks her routine and creates that crack in what you view her as. But I think there's the other side of this, that is how she views herself as a mother, as a provider, as a homemaker. And I think that is kind of what's being cracked here, of maybe she doesn't like those things. Those aren't the things that maybe she aspired to as a little girl. This is kind of just the rut of the routine that she's fallen into. And I think a lot of us can, appreciate and understand that. I get up at the same time every day. I have similar food, same coffee, drive the same route to work, do the same thing at work, drive home, do the same thing over and over and over. And only our holidays break those for us. And her holiday was something as so simple as seeing a blind man chewing gum that was foreign to her.
What a strange predicament for us to view this so differently, because this is all she ever wanted, right? Like it says this is the life she had chosen. And yes, you can absolutely look at it exactly the way you described, right? Like it's regimented, it's the same thing over and over again. And I guess that's the negative way of looking at it. But it's also this anonymous push that you have into the world of creating this family, creating this safe place, the growth for your kids and such. And you're right. The juxtaposition of the story is however you view that initial part. We interpret it differently. Like it's just what it is, right? But we both agree there's a shift with this man, the slamming on the brakes, the eggs breaking, aka like that's a common thing when an egg breaks. We talk about how you can't go back. Once the shell is open, there's no returning the yolk to the egg, right? And that's kind of what happens for Anna here. She enters this botanical garden area, and it's very Clarice the way it's written, right? It's almost Edenic. I want to use the word Edenic. I don't know if that's pushing it too far, but there's clearly this temptation, a life that she hadn't normally been exposed to or living for. She sees this virility and this excitement in this world beyond hers, right? Like, do we agree on that there's like this temptation, whether you want to view that as positive or negative, but this temptation in this botanical alternate life is kind of what's pitched, at least how I read it. Is that how you read it?
I agree with you on that. I guess I thought about it from the idea of who is the audience? Am I the audience? Am I bringing my own values to this? Anna is the embodiment of 1920s, Susie Homemaker, of the expectations of what a woman was supposed to be in those days. And I think for me, I looked at it of the internal struggles that she has versus the external expectations of society on her.
Sure. Now, we talked about earlier, the narration says this is all she ever wanted. Do you think that was either a lie, or do you think she didn't know she could achieve quote unquote more in the context of you don't have to live to society standards? I didn't personally take it this way, but she could be more, and she was shown that option with almost kind of like the temptation, the snake offering her to step outside of that world of comfort and what she knows.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the eggs in the bag, if the eggs represent the societal norms or the fragileness of domestic life, she's carrying them very carefully, right? And that means that either it's really important to her or she realizes how fragile this domestication of her is. That one little change is going to break this for her. And the shell breaks and you see the true insides of Anna, true insides of the egg. That's just how I took it.
And how fragile it actually was, right?
Yeah, because it is. And that's probably nothing abnormal. I think a lot of us, our lives live on that edge, that cusp. Anna's just happened to break in a time that maybe she least expected it. Maybe that's the norm too. We never expect these, chaotic instances to enter our lives, but when they do, they really can change things up, not only physically, but, mentally as well.
All right. I want to get your opinion on this before I share anything about mine. I want to see where we are, like where we differ on this one. She returns home, right? Hugs the son, the husband has the stove incidents. I wish it had been me, like that sort of thing. The ending. Is it, I don't want to say anymore. How do you interpret the ending of her return to the home? Like, let me just stop there.
I think there is a piece of her that knows things could have been different. Are things going to be different? No. But there is a reflection now that she was unaware of.
Does she return to her old ways with scorn, or does she return to her own ways with comfort?
I don't know if I would use the word scorn, but maybe internal regret, internal, what's the word I'm looking for? Spite, maybe? I don't know.
Okay. I wrote down this quote. I'll tell you how I look at this. It said, the dizziness of benevolence was over. First of all, I love that line. The dizziness of benevolence was over. Right? Like we're no longer confused by the good. And whether we're trying to live to society standards, of course, to your talk earlier. Sure. Like that is an interesting way to think about that. But this paragraph. And if she had passed through love and its hell, she was now combing her hair before the mirror, for an instant with no world at all in her heart. Before going to bed, as if putting out a candle, she blew out the little flame of the day. And I think that's really interesting. The think about each day, what do you accomplish, right? And maybe she didn't accomplish much, like in terms of like her grocery shopping here, shattered the eggs. But maybe there's something about what do we build on for the next day. And this actually is one of our least popular videos, even though it's like one of the most popular like things to talk about on YouTube. Remember A&P? Remember A&P by John Updike? Like this little boy had the monotony of the normal life, had these girls come in to be the catalyst for change, the same way that the blind man chewing the gum and slamming on the brakes of the tram was here. And then he uproots his whole life only to be disenchanted by the real world. We have I think to me, this is my version of literary greatness for how I like literature to go, is Anna goes through the same story. She had the monotony of the day. This is how society expects you to be. You have the shakeup of the tram. And then the question is, what happens from here? Is she going to grow past this moment? Is she going to savor the moment more, right? To me, I almost view her as not being disrupted. I almost view her as her saying, that was great. That's not what I want. I want the monotony. I want the predictability. And I think that's what Anna is. And I don't think, to me, my interpretation, I don't think we should judge her for it. This is what Anna wants. And I think it's great that she experienced it because it confirms what she really wants, I think, is the monotony, is how I interpreted it.
And I think you're right. And I relate to Anna in that same regard of I don't like when my routine is thrown off. I like taking the same way to work. I like getting home at roughly the same time, eating similar foods. I love my routine. My argument here is I thought about another story about what happens when you break in routine in the Garden by Mansfield, and what happens when Laura saw the dead bodies of it breaking her routine. And how did that change her life? And I think Anna kind of has the same thing here of she's internalizing it, and I don't think we know what's going to happen because we don't have the rest of the story. What happens that next morning when she wakes up? Does she accidentally burn the toast? Does she, accidentally mess up the wash? Does she take a different route to the market? It's kind of like Pleasantville. Of you introduce that one red rose and it throws everything off, and there's a whole new possibility now.
The dizziness of benevolence was over, right? And once the egg's broken, you can't go back. So I don't know. This is why I love reading Clarice. And I think it's really interesting. I had no idea that we were going to be so different in our understanding of what we thought Anna would want. So I love that. And I'd love to hear from the audience too. Like, where did you side? Or is there a third position to kind of take with how we interpret Anna? Like, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. My name's been Una. Clarice Lispector, we got tons of videos and talks on her. We'll leave that playlist down below. Peace.
Peace.